The Department of Agriculture reiterates that genetically modified crops are safe for human consumption. The department issued the assurance even after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Greenpeace petition to stop the field trials of GMO crops. More details from Freddie Abando.
The Supreme Court decision late last year to ban genetically modified crops could set back research to back government's thrust for food security in the country. The High Tribunal ruled in favor of the petition by Greenpeace to stop field testing and trials of BT talong. The petition claimed that GMO crops harm the health of humans and the environment.
The original petition before the courts was to stop BT talong field testing. And then, when it reached the Supreme Court eventually became more comprehensive and struck out, and I should say obliterated, AO8, which is our basis of our regulatory framework. So our lawyers are now studying the precise impacts administratively, legally, and of course, on trade.
Because of the decision, Administrative Order Number 8 issued by the Department of Agriculture, which puts in place the National Safety Framework which conducts risk management assessment of GMO crops, has been scrapped until such time a compliant resolution has been worked out. Agriculture Undersecretary Freddie Abando said AO8's implementation has a perfect record of ensuring GMO crops, particularly corn, are safe for food for humans and feeds for animals.
Agricultural commodities markets are subject to disequilibration by, these things, these kinds of decisions. There will be imprecise interpretations of the decision, whether government, private sector. So it induces a lot of sometimes negative speculation. We have received reports, for example, that prices for these commodities have begun to spike up. I think soybeans. Undersecretary Riaño has texted me some recent figures. There have been substantial increases. But beyond that, if we will suddenly now stop GM imports of these very important commodities, for example, in the livestock sector, we will have to find sources much more expensive because you will have to be able to determine that they are not GM and that the cost of production in primary production of these commodities are higher because they are less productive. Yields are lower, they are less resistant to certain pests, so you expect them to be much more expensive.
The ban of GMO crops, especially for farmers planting corn, could trigger shortages and could diminish supply for the local livestock industry, poultry, and even fishing. BT corn was commercialized in 2002. Since then, 750,000 hectares all over the country were planted to GMO corn. Farmers harvest an average of 7 to 14 tons of BT corn, unlike the ordinary corn, which yield 1 to 5 tons per hectare. Agriculture Secretary Proceso Alcala said BT corn guaranteed self-sufficiency. Last year, because of this, importation was very minimal. Farmers and stakeholders allied with corn production expressed concern the ban on BT corn may cause shortages of feed, which could affect the production of livestock and the prices in the market. The ruling also covers the ban on the importation of soybeans, which is a key ingredient for animal feeds, unless the Supreme Court reconsiders its ruling, and it takes time for the Department of Agriculture to come up with a compliant administrative order. Farmer organizations planting corn are bound to harvest less and settle for lower incomes.
Ang problema nito, ang dagok pa nito, it will trickle down to the livestock sector and of course to the 100 million Filipinos who's going to buy pork, chicken, fish, and egg. Kasi ang raw material nila is composed of corn and soybean. So, sana, it's a tragedy that the presentation of evidence in the Supreme Court, the one that is considered, is not even published in the scientific journal. It is only based on fear.
For the People's Television Network, this is Freddie Abando reporting.